Thank you everyone for coming back to our event today. I can't even begin to express how happy I am today to have Dr. Sherry Tenpenny to talk to you. Most of you have probably heard of her. She's been all over the country speaking about the vaccines and the masks and COVID in the last year and a half now. And I'm so happy to have her with us today. I just want to say I'm not going to talk much because we don't have a lot of time with Sherry, and I want her to just do most of the talking here, all the talking actually. I just want to say this: she's triple board certified doctor. She's been over 30 years, right, Sherry, as a doctor?
Over 30 years.
Yes, over 30 years. Amazing
Exactly.
credibility. I thought of three words that I wanted to say: credibility, credentialed, and courageous. And really unparalleled in what her courage is. So I would just say this: when these people with her background in the medical industry, what I really call the medical pharmaceutical media industrial complex, when they speak out the way that Dr. Tenpenny does, that what happens to them, they can be instantly fired, they can be instantly you know, ridiculed by their fellow industry, colleagues. It's just awful what they do. So anyway, there's no real incentive for somebody to do what she does other than get the truth out, because it's coming from her heart and her soul and her conscience that she has to get this out. So we're so happy to have you with us, Dr. Tenpenny. Please tell your story and let us know what's going on, especially if you could bring people up to date on, how to react to these vaccines and people who've been vaccinated and all of this, please. Thank you so much.
Well, you're very welcome. And just for as a way of a little bit of in your category of credentials, my first career was I was board certified in emergency medicine and director of a level 2 trauma center in Findlay, Ohio for 12 years. I moved to Cleveland in 1996 and opened an integrative center, which we now have 3 physicians, 4 nurse practitioners, a physician's assistant, a chiropractor, and a pretty good sized staff out in my medical clinic, Tenpenny Integrated Medical Center, which is located in Middleburg Heights, Ohio, which is a suburb of Cleveland. And so that was my first board certification. I'm board certified in osteopathic neuromuscular skeletal medicine, and I have a special certification in integrative and holistic medicine. I've been studying problems associated with vaccines since September of 2000, which means almost 21 years and well over 40,000 hours of research to be able to stand on the firm statement that vaccines have never been proven to be safe. They do not keep you from getting sick. They are not necessary, and they definitely cause harm. So I put that out there as a further clarification of my credential, so that when the COVID problem started in March of 2020, it wasn't like I just one morning woke up and said, maybe I'll look into this. I mean, this has been something that I've been doing for a very long time and have a large body of information standing behind me. So when I started looking at what they were doing with the stats of the COVID nonsense, with the myth of the masks, the fraud of the PCR testing, the legalized spying called contact tracing, the nonsense of social distancing, like viruses can measure 6 feet, right? And it comes out of your mouth 6 feet and drops right to the floor.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing is just ridiculous. I mean, and the virus is the smartest virus ever, as you know. I mean, it can measure height. I mean, when you're standing up, it's dangerous. When you're sitting down, it's not. When
Right.
they can tell 6 feet, it can count. The virus can count the number of people in a room. It can tell whether you're talking or singing. It can tell whether you're in Home Depot or whether you're in a church.
Right.
I mean, it can tell what time it is. I mean, for heaven's sakes, it's safe to be out in the community before 10 o'clock at night. After 10 o'clock at night, deadly. Be home, in your house, cowered down, be afraid. It's the most insane thing that people have chosen without a bit of rebuttal to just totally take into their psyche and accept. And I think that now, after 15 months of this, now, for example, I live, like I said, in Cleveland, Ohio, and our governor has decided on June the 2nd, and today, as we record this, is May the 15th. On June the 2nd, we will stop the mask mandate. So the virus is going to know. Now the virus can even read the calendar.
Right.
And so it's just insane. And then we have been scammed by this thing that we call vaccines, because it's not a vaccine, but the pharmaceutical industry and government has co-opted that term because it's a multi-generational indoctrination. It's a term that most people recognize and understand and know. And so therefore, when they call it a vaccine, people go, oh, it's just another, it's like, COVID causes the flu. Oh, I get it. It's just like a flu shot. And nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
really,
I've worked
is
really hard
is it true that it changes DNA?
yes, absolutely. In fact, we have worked really hard in the last 15 months or so to get people to stop calling it a vaccine. If you
Mhm.
hear that word come out of your mouth and relate it to these COVID injections, wind it back and say, oh, I meant, what I really meant to say is the injection or the shot, because it's not a vaccine. Because a vaccine, by definition, it works to protect you by developing the appropriate antibodies, keeps you from transmitting or shedding to other people, and lowers the death rate and the hospitalization rate. These COVID shots are the antithesis of that. They absolutely make you sick. If you shed, there's nothing to shed because there's no live virus, but you can transmit the spike protein, possibly the messenger RNA encapsulated in this lipid coating, possibly the adenovirus from the J&J shot or the AstraZeneca shot, which is actually depositing double-stranded DNA into your body. And if you get sick from that shot, you don't get COVID. Like if I get a chickenpox shot, chickenpox vaccine, and I shed chickenpox viruses to you, you get chickenpox. If I get a COVID shot and something I transmit, that person doesn't get COVID. COVID, by definition, is a respiratory illness with cough, fever, shortness of breath. You don't get that. What you get is blood clots in your legs and arms, blood clots in your lungs, blood clots in your brain, seizure disorders, neurological dysfunction, profound fatigue, cardiovascular arrhythmias, cardiomyopathy, pulmonary artery hypertension, and the list goes on. So you don't get COVID if you shed or transmit this product to somebody else. You get deadly disease.
Oh, that's amazing. So what I know, I heard your talk with Dr. Merritt and Dr. Northrup. Yes, and I think there was a couple other. Oh, Dr. McVeigh.
We're now calling ourselves the Five Doctors,
Yes, the
because
five
we
doctors.
are doing a lot. In fact, we have a couple of other things scheduled to come up. It's me, Dr. Larry Pilevsky, Dr. Carrie Madej, Dr. Lee Merritt, and Dr. Christian Northrup. And we are together uh, talking about this transmission and the bleeding and the blood clots and the miscarriages and the central venous thrombosis and all these other types of deadly things that these shots create in your body. The end result of all four of the highly used current shots that we talk about the most, Pfizer, Moderna, which work similarly, and J&J and AstraZeneca, which work similarly. The end result of all four of those injections, all four of those injected products, is for your body to create a spike protein and an antibody to those spike proteins. The spike protein in and of itself can cause, as I already listed, many types of deadly diseases. The antibody can cross-react with up to 28 different tissue types in your body, causing an autoimmune reaction with 28 different tissues or organ systems in your body. So the antibody can be deadly. The spike proteins are particularly deadly. The coating on the surface of the Pfizer or the Moderna shot can cause acute reactions such as anaphylactic shock, heart attacks, and strokes. And
Okay.
a profound allergic reactions because of the coating on the outside, which has polyethylene glycol in it, and up to 70% of the general population has already been pre-sensitized to polyethylene glycol or polysorbate, which is in the J&J shot. The polysorbate from previous vaccinations, the polyethylene glycol, because of the hundreds and hundreds of products that polyethylene glycol has been used in our country, anywhere from medications to topical skin lotions and creams to some of the products that we eat.
So you're the people who have ingested that or been injected with that are more likely to get sick
They're
from
more
it.
likely to have anaphylactic shock
Okay,
and die.
and die. Okay. Now,
Because
what can
the
you,
polyethylene glycol, they thought it was inert. Then they started testing it and finding that people that have been exposed to the polyethylene glycol develop antibodies to it, which means your body's been sensitized. And then when you get either the Pfizer or the Moderna shot, which has polyethylene glycol on the coating of the lipid particle that encases the messenger RNA, you've been pre-sensitized. It's like you've already had 5 bee stings, and now they inject this stuff, and then you have the massive anaphylactic reaction.
okay. So what can we do to help people that have been vaccinated, and what can we do to protect ourselves from people who have been vaccinated?
Well, that's like the biggest, hottest question topic of the day is that, what is it? What's transmitting? What can I do to protect myself? And what do I do if I finally decide, if I've suddenly woken up and learned all this information that's been out there? I've done over 460 interviews in the last 14 months, and I'm not the only one. So has Judy Mikovits and Carrie Madej and Lee Merritt, and the list goes on and on. There have been a group of us that have been nonstop trying to educate people. Why they haven't heard of it until now is just beyond me. But it's just, and ignorance is no defense. And for people to say they just didn't know, that means they simply didn't look. And so the questions, to go back through those questions, what is it that's transmitting and making other people sick? We believe it's the spike protein is the most likely candidate. What can you do to protect yourself? Well, what they're saying is you should not, if it was someone that you have close personal contact with, meaning a spouse or a child, that if you've had the shot, you should not have, men should not have unprotected sex for at least 6 weeks. Women should not get pregnant for at least 3 months. We need to be very careful about children being around injected grandparents, because children are now experiencing bleeding, vaginal bleeding from just being around their parents who've been injected. So close personal contact is a really big deal. So what can you do is try to avoid these people. And I would say not close contact. They've recommended if you're going to be on an airplane or sitting close to somebody, say in a church or at a dinner table, you should probably have on long sleeves and long pants, because you don't know what they're going to be picking up from them. What can you do to reverse this if you suddenly go, oh man, that was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life? I've taken one of those shots. Should I take the second one? No, don't take the second one. Because once you've decided you've been poisoned, do
Right,
you really want a second dose of poison?
right.
To date, as we're talking about this, and this is subject to change, right now there is nothing to reverse it. Once you have made the decision of your own free will to accept this injection, you cannot uninject. It goes in, and by various mechanisms can cause permanent and irreversible damage to your DNA. It can permanently sensitize your immune system to create spike proteins and antibodies to the spike proteins. Right, and there's a lot of smart people working on hopefully a solution behind the scenes to
Mhm.
try to correct some of the horrific damage that people have done to themselves by living in fear and expecting a pharmaceutical product to remove their fear.
Mhm.
Because fear and faith can't live in the same space. And what they've chosen to do is try to find a pharmaceutical product. And for people who don't know, the word pharmacy or pharmaceutical, the root word is pharmakia, which means sorcerers. And the people that are creating these products have openly stated that there's too many people on the planet. We need to knock down the population. They believe in the Georgia Guidestones. They believe that there are 3 billion people, too many people on this planet, and all of those people are contributing to global warming.
Mhm.
And we must take that number down. And now that they have just demonically approved to give these shots to 12 to 15-year-old children, and the schools are pushing so hard, there's no long-term studies in this. What happens to kids in the 12 to 15-year-old age group? Puberty. Have they even considered, what if the girls have already started their periods and they get one of these shots? Is there a single study, not one, like 3-month study to find out if those girls stop their periods? Or if they haven't started their periods yet, will they ever start their periods? What about the little boys that are having swollen and tender testicles, and the men who get these shots who are no longer able to maintain an erection? I just spoke to I'm actually, you can see I'm in a hotel room. I'm actually in a conference in Dallas, and I spoke to a physician last night who works in an urgent care. She says they're seeing about 30 men a week coming in complaining of swollen and tender testicles and lymph nodes in their groin. And she says, have you recently had one of the shots? Yeah, within the last few weeks. So we are killing people at the top end. The new VAERS data just came out. I will give you the accurate number. They post these every Friday. So VAERS is the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. It has been in place since 1986 as part of the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Act. It's a way to collect data on vaccine deaths and vaccine injuries. And we've long known that this particular database captures only somewhere between 1 and 10%, 1 and 10% of actual deaths and injuries.
Right.
As of May the 7th, there were 4,057 reported deaths from the COVID shots as of May the 7th. And as of May the 7th, there have been 192,954 adverse events. So almost 193,000. And let me put that into perspective for you. Last week, the week before this data came out, the number of reported adverse events were 157,000. 1 week later, we're at 193,000. On average, for all 20 of the vaccines that are reported to the VAERS database, injuries, those are childhood shots and also adult shots, and some of the more lesser used shots like typhoid and cholera and Japanese encephalitis and things like that. Those aren't given very often. Those are more in the category of travel and military vaccines. But of all the approved shots that are out there, all the approved vaccines that report adverse events into VAERS, VAERS usually gets 30,000 per year. This is 193,000 on one injection in 5 months. And yet it's hammer down, get more people injected, get more people. And if you get your shot, you can get free donuts, you can get Krispy Kreme donuts, you can get passports, you can be able to not wear your mask when you go inside now. Now, what kind of nonsense is that? Does that mean you have to show your COVID pass? Does that mean you have to wear, I was vaccinated today, little sticker on the front of you so you don't have to wear the mask? I mean, they are giving us back rights they should have never taken away in the first place in exchange for being injected with a product that is permanently and irreversibly changing your DNA, and somewhere down the road in the next 3 years could kill you by autoimmune diseases, a process called antibody dependent enhancement, by cardiovascular disease, by pulmonary artery hypertension, which is uniformly fatal within 3 years, no matter what kind of treatment you get. And the list goes on and on. People have chosen, run to the front of the line, be angry because they had to wait to get their shots. And they volunteered for an irreversible injection that at this point in time, at the time of this recording, is nothing that can be done to reverse it. And they wanted it to assuage their fear because they're addicted to fear, the adrenaline rush of fear. It's why people go to scary movies, because it gives them that adrenaline rush. This shot by the media has created a perpetual fear that people don't want to give up, and they want this shot to put like a Band-Aid on it and take away their fear. Made by the same people who openly say that there's too many people who live on this planet. So now we're going to kill off people from the top. And I believe that the parents who push their kids into getting these shots and fall to their knees to the school teachers just so their kids can go to school, they are setting their kids up for permanent infertility. And there's medical science to back that up.
Wow. That's incredible.
It's genocide. Let's
Mhm.
call it what it is. It's absolutely genocide. We are right now in the fight for the survival of the human race. Of the human race. What the end game of all this is to move us all into the transhumanism movement, into artificial intelligence, into robotics. We're already seeing lots of reports out all over the internet of people that put a little magnet over the surface of where they got their shot. The magnet sticks to their arm. Try putting that magnet anywhere else on your body. There's nothing metal there unless you've had like a hip replacement or something.
So is that
There's no
the aluminum and other metals that there are in this as
no,
well? No.
this doesn't have aluminum. Aluminums are in the childhood shots. This is iron sulfate. It's iron sulfate and other forms of metal. It's also hydrogel. Hydrogel actually goes in and transforms your genes permanently and sets you up for the transmission of things that they want to do. These are kill shots, absolutely kill shots, Clyde. And I've been saying that for 14 months.
What you mentioned, transhumanism, and for people that aren't aware of this, we had another interview in this summit with Jay Dyer, and what he does, his specialty is to read the books of people like Klaus Schwab or Bill Gates or any of these people, and just give you the quotes. So he's not a conspiracy theorist; he's a conspiracy analyst, and he's just
Confirmist.
analyzing. Yes, and he's just analyzing and giving out to people exactly what these people are saying they're going to do. And I invite everyone to go to that because they're telling us what they're going to do. They basically want to create transhumans that they can control. And the humanity is not even there anymore. It's basically what they want is a bunch of robots that
Of the
they can
people
control.
that survive, the
Yes.
ones that are left, they want to have robots. And they know that somewhere by approximately 2035, that there will be somewhere around 3 billion people on the planet who will be unemployed because of robotics and artificial intelligence. They don't need manual laborers anymore. All of that stuff can be done with robots, like assembly line work and things like that. And the robotics stuff, if you've not looked into it lately, it's pretty creepy because they look exactly like human beings and they're totally robots. And
Mhm.
they can work 24/7. They don't need a break. They don't need benefits. They don't need holidays. They don't break down. And if they do, you just turn a couple, replace a part and keep them on going. So they don't need 3 billion people on the planet anymore. And they're all big supporters of global warming because they think just because we breathe and fart, we're contributing to the horrors they say are happening on the planet, which are really not, because trees and plants need carbon dioxide to live. And
Right.
so, and they want to take away cattle and they want to just give us like artificial food with caloric content. I mean, these are psychopaths and
Mhm.
they absolutely are running the hen house right now. And Clyde, back when this all started back in March of 2020, I'm still jaw dropped over the fact that 7 billion people rolled over like that. I mean, within a matter of weeks,
Mhm.
everybody had on masks, gloves, social distancing, shut down in their house, closed their businesses. Nobody even slightly revolted. You know,
Very
and they took away
good.
our ability to congregate by closing churches and closing businesses. I remember when it went from 50 to 20 to 10 really fast. Well,
Mhm.
why was that? Was it really because they were so afraid that we were going to catch the flu from each other?
Mhm.
No, it was because historically in America, where did revolutions and revolts start? In the
Bars and churches.
Exactly, in the pubs and in the churches.
Mhm.
Exactly. And that's exactly why they shut us down. And that's exactly why they're continuing to shut us down.
Mhm. They don't want us to assemble. When we
Nope.
assemble, we're strong, and we
Exactly.
can start to get and piece together what's going on and organize ourselves and fight back.
Exactly.
That's not what they want.
No, it's because, and if people haven't read the book, or if they haven't read it in a while, the
Mhm.
book 1984,
Right.
dust it off and go back and reread it and
Yeah.
understand we are living in the ministry of truth. And the Ministry of Truth, as described in 1984, was whatever the powers that be say is true is true. And anybody who says anything against it are either ostracized or killed. And so if they say 2 plus 2 is 5, you have to agree and go along with it, no matter how much proof you have that 2 plus 2 is not 5, it's 4. That's a simple example of the Ministry of Truth. So all of these things that we have talked about, the myth of the mask, the fraud of the PCR testing, the nonsense of social distancing, the legalized spying of contact tracing, the absolute carnage that's being caused by these shots, which are not vaccines. I mean, all of us that are standing up loudly and trying to educate, inform, and warn the general public about what this is, what it's causing, and all that. I mean, we are, getting in a smaller and smaller minority because people it's like they're in a coma. And I feel that, like, if the people who've been addicted to CNN and sit in front of CNN all day long, CNN has literally used neurolinguistic programming to put people into fear and a coma. And it doesn't matter what facts you tell them, they go, and they run out and get their shot anyways.
Yeah. Now, there are some good news. We painted a pretty bleak picture here, but I just saw some pictures came across today of the mass vaccination centers. There's nobody there.
That is good news.
And it is good news, and more of that. And so, well, that started right from the beginning. That, all the stuff they were saying about how the hospitals were just so overcrowded,
which they weren't.
And you'd see, and people would come in with videos, and they'd say, "Hey," put them on YouTube and say, "Hey, here's this hospital that was supposedly overcrowded, and people dying. There's nobody here." And so they've been lying to us and creating this narrative from the very beginning, and that narrative is just based on complete lies, complete deception. And
complete deception. And it's really good to hear that. I mean, I know, like, in the state of Ohio, I mean, the governor, our little tyrannical governor in the state of Ohio,
he's horrible.
He's horrible. And he's supposed to be a Republican.
Yeah. No.
Talk about, like, the consummate rhino, right?
Yeah,
and so, I mean, we just said, just this last week, or in the last few days, he set up a lottery, $5 million of taxpayer money put into a lottery with 5 drawings. You can enter to win if you're fully vaccinated. And there's 5 winners with $1 million each, 5 winners. They also took taxpayer money and put it into a lottery for kids who over the age of 18 can enter, if they're fully vaccinated, to win a full ride scholarship. 4-year full ride scholarship to college in a drawing. I believe there's 5 of those also. Yeah. Where does that money come from? The taxpayers in Ohio. So we're rapidly putting together a lawsuit because he is coercing people, and it's illegal what he has absolutely done. And but it's happening everywhere. I mean, employers are going, if you want to keep your job, go get the shot, which is illegal. Because you cannot force someone to obtain, to be injected with, or even swallow a pill with, an unapproved drug. These shots are not FDA approved, and I think this is an important distinction because some people get confused by this. What the shots are approved under an EUA, emergency use authorization,
right?
And that is signed off on by the FDA. That does not make it an FDA approved drug. It's completely experimental. And what it really means is they can bring it to market with minimal amount of testing. Way back when they first started talking about it, they said you only needed a 25% effectiveness rate. I mean, you get the shot, it only decreases your risk of getting COVID by 25%. And now the package inserts are blank, and it says plainly on the doctor advisory panel, we don't even think this is going to stop you from getting COVID. That's why you need to still wear the mask and social distance.
Yeah.
And so it's good to hear. Thank you for saying that. And I hope that there's more and more of that, of people who are not getting the shot at all. The people that were on the fence and they just weren't sure, that they're absolutely saying no. And those that have gotten one of the Pfizer or Moderna shots are not going back and getting a second one. I mean, and I think that's why they're using all these coercive things now. Win $1 million.
They're just asking people to do it and trying to deceive them into getting it isn't working. 45% of the military apparently is refusing to get it.
And now they're saying if the military doesn't get it, they have to stay on base and they're not deployable.
Yeah.
That came out just a couple days ago. But
Right.
I think that people that are not getting, and I just want to reiterate this because this is really important, because what the government is doing is it's pushing over this mandatory thing off of government things into industry. And so that industry is now saying you have to get injected to keep your job, which is illegal. And I would encourage you people, if you've got a sizable company and there's 5 or more of you, that you get together and threaten a class action lawsuit against your employer, because they are requiring you to get an experimental injection with no long-term studies that could kill you, that is not FDA approved, in order to keep your job. And that's illegal. You cannot do that. It's illegal. I think that's really, really important.
Yes, people should do that. I hope everyone takes that to heart. Any organization that you're in, company that you're in, you get a few people together and threaten a class action suit and work on this. You know, there are people around that will help you. Our group out in Oregon, Christo, with the affidavits that they do, Americans for Action, they're doing great work.
Frontline Doctors, they've got a
Frontline
legal arm.
Doctors, yeah.
They've got a legal arm. Tom Rentz, who's our main lawyer in Ohio.
Oh, yes,
He's
yes.
trying to rapidly develop a law firm, because he said, Sherry, there's so many lawsuits that need to be filed. He said, there's only me. I need to get, where are the lawyers in this? Where are they? If there's any lawyers listening to this, get a backbone and go out and do the right thing to protect the American public. There are so many lawsuits waiting to happen of all these mandatory mask things for people that shouldn't have been wearing them, and employers that were refusing medical exemptions. All of these forced injections with an experimental product. There's no informed consent. I mean, the Nuremberg trials were conducted so that people could not be experimented on. Where are the lawyers? I mean, usually lawyers are just like lapping at their lips to wait to sue somebody. Where are they?
On that point, or is it the attorney Fulmer, I believe his name is, with 1,000 doctors and that are actually doing international trials on this. You know about him?
I don't.
Oh, I'll send you the information. He's got over 1,000 doctors behind.
Oh, wait, that's in Germany though, right?
He's a German, he's a German attorney, and also
I do know about that.
He's a California attorney, and he's going after it. I just saw a video by him the other day. So there are.
I think I saw it was 1,100 physicians and I don't know how many lawyers, but he was filing at I believe the World Health Organization.
The Hague or World Health Organization.
Yeah, for crimes against humanity that they have perpetrated.
Correct.
And it's growing, and so, but we need more lawyers.
Yeah.
So if there's lawyers listening to this, or if your husband or wife is a lawyer, get them on board to save humanity. To save humanity. That's what this is all about.
That's right. Sherry, thank you so much. This has been awesome. I really, really appreciate you taking your time here on a Saturday, your day of rest that was going to be your day of rest, to talk to us and share this with everyone. We're going to get this out there. Our event goes live June 24th. We're going to have you be the first recording.
Oh, wow.
Prepared, okay? You're going to be the top billing because you're, as I said, so courageous in what you're doing and so highly credible in your field that if people listen to this, they've got to realize what's going on and take action and protect their family, protect themselves and their family and their friends. Because you're right. I mean, what this is this has been a campaign of propaganda through the major media. CNN is probably the most notable in this regard, and creating fear and hypnotism, really hypnotizing. People are just acting like sheep. You're absolutely right. It drives me crazy. But there are a lot of us fighting back, and we have to remind each other that there are a lot of people like us too that are fighting back and trying to get this, trying to destroy this narrative that's been created, because it's all false. It's all lies. It's all propaganda. And it's very destructive. So thank you so much for what you do. We really, really appreciate it. And thank you everybody for joining us today. We really appreciate your attendance, and hopefully you'll share this message widely.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have a great day, Sherry. Thank you so much. Stay with me.